Well, hello there! Welcome once more to Contour's Kitchen. And if this is your first time stopping by, I'd like to say a very warm welcome to you. So for lunch, I'm preparing some cocoa, that is fried sweet plantain, and we are having it with black-eyed peas too. I really hope you are able to do this with me. This is something that I know is going to be handy, especially now, if you have beans in your pantry, I guess you are good. You are covered for quite a while, You have your protein and everything, and this is a really, really nutritious, balanced meal. So I soaked my beans for about probably 6 hours. I woke up around 6 o'clock, made hot chocolate for the kids, and when I was downstairs doing that, I soaked my beans. And this is like around almost noon, and I am starting to make the beans. And because I soaked this way ahead of time, it's not going to keep long in cooking this. So I've come to realize that once I soak my beans, let it soak for a good amount of time, strain it, wash it, and I boil it, eat it. I don't get all that much of a bloat, like the bloating, the gasiness, and everything that you pretty much get when you eat beans. I might be mistaken, but I mean, it works for me, so I keep doing it, and I hope it's useful to you, it's helpful to you as well. So anyway, I have poured my beans into my cooking pot and I have covered it with water, just to go a little above the beans. And now I'm going to bring this to a boil. So a few minutes into cooking it, normally if the beans, because it bubbles over and everything, so I'm just slightly uncovering it, just leaving a little room for it to vent so it doesn't, make my stove top messy. And this cooked for about 45 minutes, and 45 minutes later it is already done, because remember it was soaked for hours. So, and these black-eyed peas actually don't cook for far too long. So my beans is done and I have turned off the fire, and right here I have this salted beef, homemade, and I soaked it in water because what I'm going to be using it for. I'm not going to be cooking it for long like how you would cooking it in soup or even to make awamo. That is the Ghanaian braised rice. So I have just cut them into little pieces, and that is just going to bring flavor. This is no mean bean stew. Like when you prepare this bean stew that I'm sharing with you, trust me, you will love it. And even the pickiest eater, people who don't even like beans, I have had friends come over, and be like, "Oh, I don't like beans. I don't like black-eyed peas." Non-Ghanaian, non-African, African Americans to be precise, and I was just like so happy with how much they enjoyed the bean stew, so much so that they needed to take some home. So trust me, this is a great recipe that you're going to really love, especially if you have that salted beef. And if you don't have it, maybe you could try bacon, but salted beef, which I have a recipe here, will be preferable. So I'm slicing my shallots. I'm using shallots here. In the previous video, you heard me complaining about not having enough onions. Well, I had these shallots somewhere in a basket. So yay, I'm happy. Thank God. And I'm just going to be using only shallots today to make this bean. So I'm slicing some, and then I will blend the rest with my vegetables. And like I told you previously, I got this big pack of tomatoes. I bought them like they were going out of style. And that was even before all this craze happened. So I have tomatoes, and I'm going to just be using 3 of these. Just giving them a thorough wash. And I know I'm all over the place. That is how I cook, and I'm giving it to you in the exact sequence because this is a cook with me video. So after I wash my tomatoes, I set my pan on fire, let it warm up, and now I'm going to add some coconut oil, extra virgin or virgin coconut oil. Beef stew with coconut oil. If you haven't tried it before, please, please, please try it. So far as you like coconut or you can eat coconut oil, try this recipe and let me know what you think. This is just beyond amazing, trust me, beyond delicious. So anyway, my oil melted and I've added my shallots in here now. And I'm just going to let it cook until it is, not too caramelized, but it starts to get brown and start changing, substance up, sweaty. And then I'm going to add in my salted beef. So my onions have cooked to how I desire. They are soft. And now I'm adding in the beef. And almost right away, the aroma just hits me. It smells so good. It smells amazing, amazing. Like the combination of the onions or the shallots, the coconut oil, and the salted beef. Huh. This smells so good, so good. I'm not even dreaming of awamo. Awamo with this kind of combination as the base is delicious, but trust me, beans with this base is just beyond amazing. You wouldn't even want to use red oil. I pretty much hardly ever use red oil to make my beans ever since I discovered how delicious it is when it's prepared with coconut oil. And you're going to be finding out soon. So anyway, in my blender right now, I have added the rest of my shallots. I have 2 peppers in there, and I am going to just cut up my tomatoes and add in there. And 2 peppers is more than enough for this beans. Typically, I would use just one, but when we make beans stew, we like it spicy. Like, for some reason, we want it hot. And these peppers from my garden are very, very hot. So 2 is going to make it pretty hot. And you are free to, of course, use as much pepper as you want, whether or without, more or less. Totally your choice. So I have my tomatoes in here, and I'm just going to blend all these, the peppers, onions, and tomatoes. Feel free to add garlic if you want, but I didn't put any garlic in here today. And now I'm just adding in my blend. After letting the salted beef cook in the oil for about 5 minutes, constantly stirring, I added in my blended tomatoes, onions, and peppers. And I'm just going to let this cook down with some tomato paste. Just let it cook down all the way, and then we'll add in the beans. This is simple, pretty quick. Like, you could be making the stew as the beans was cooking, and then everything comes together perfectly, and you wouldn't need to, have to wait. So this could be done if your beans was soaked. I could have pretty much done this within an hour. Like, cook the beans, put it in the stew, and everything will be done within 1 hour. This smells good, good. So now I come in and I'm adding in some tomatoes, tomato paste, and just 1 tablespoon is all you need for this. Just to bring it a little bit of color. If I was using red oil, I probably wouldn't put in tomato paste, but because it's going to be just the coconut oil, a little bit of tomato paste to, give your sauce some brightness really helps to make your beans not look just too obroni, not too white. Sorry, sorry. Yeah, you don't want it to be too white, so you put a little bit of tomato paste to balance out the color. Accomodinio. I'm so hungry right now. I just can't wait for this to be ready. So I've cranked up the heat a little bit. I really have to eat something. Like, I haven't eaten all day. So anyway, I'm going to add some salt in here, and be mindful of the salted beef. So, not too much salt, otherwise it might turn into brine. Your stew will be like brine, and you cannot eat that. So I'm just gonna stir, and it is thickening up. As you can see now, it is getting cooked. Not all the way there, but hopefully pretty soon, so I can have something to eat. So I have my fish. Remember my leftover, my extra fillet portion of salmon that I saved from the egg stew. Yeah, this was what I planned to use it for. So I have brought it out, and I'm just going to flake it and add it into the bean stew. And our stew has been cooking, for about half hour now. And now it is thickened. I finally really reduced the heat though. So the heat is reduced and it has cooked for about 25 minutes to half hour. And at this point it is perfect almost. And I'm just going to go ahead and add my fish. So if you have canned fish, sardine, mackerel, whatever kind of canned fish you have, or any kind of fish, smoked fish, you could flake it in here. You probably could boil some fish, but I would rather smoke it or bake it before I put it in this bean stew. But canned fish works beautifully with this too. So I let the fish stay in the stew to cook for about 10 more minutes, just so the flavors mingle. The stew tastes more like the fish, and the fish also soak up the stew. So when you get a chance to bite into it, you taste that it really came from the stew. And at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and add my beans. So remember, I already boiled the beans way before I started making the tomato sauce. So I just put it back on the stove just to warm up a little bit because it was looking like cold and dry. And so in order for me to speed up everything, I warmed it up again just so, for about 5 minutes on low heat. And now I've just poured it with everything, like the little water that is left in there, which is perfectly fine, into the stew. Because I cooked the stew to be thick, the tomato sauce is thick enough and there's not that much fluid. But if you cooked your beans with too much water and it's sitting in a lot of water, I would recommend that you strain it, set the water on the side maybe if you want to add that gradually, to get your desired consistency of sauce. So I'm just going to go ahead and stir, and this I'm going to let simmer for a while, and it's pretty much done. What I'm missing right now is some powdered shrimp. I have none, so I'm just gonna do without it, and I'm not gonna be using any seasoning cubes. Like, I really don't even have any at home anyway, but normally I wouldn't add any. I would just add my powdered shrimp or shrimp powder, smoked shrimp and then powdered. But we're making do with what we have, and this still tastes and smells so good. So I'm not going to sweat it. So whilst it's simmering, I'm just going to go ahead and fry my plantains. Yanchikoko. Why? Our food is almost ready. Yeah, I always try to do it this fancy way of trying to cut the plantain in the skins, but if it's not meant for you, it's really not meant for you. I didn't grow up doing it this way, and you can teach an old dog new tricks. I've been peeling and cutting up plantains for far too long, so trying it this way is just I was like, China, I'm coming, baby. Sing. Let me do it the way I know and I'll be fast doing, If you can do it the other way, how I did it, because that skin or the husk, the skin, the plantain skins protect you so you don't cut through your fingers or your palm. But I've done this so many times. I'm just used to, I'm faster, more efficient doing it this way, Or put it on a chopping board. If that helps you, don't be like Kwanchua, okay? This is like pure African woman, Forget about modernization. Anyway, so I'm adding my salt. You want to put a little bit of salt on your plantain to fry, and a little bit of water, so it's like a little salt water bath. Your plantain sits in, soaks up, and that way when you fry, it's not just going to be sweet. It has a little bit of saltiness to it, and that is a great taste to have, like a great combination, the sweetness and the saltiness combined. So our beans is all done, done. It has thickened to how I want it. It is almost no moisture, and this time around I'm not going to be mashing any of my beans. I'm just going to let everything be whole, and I'm just letting it simmer for slightly a few more minutes, and then I'll turn it off. And so right now I'm frying my plantains in my hot sizzling oil, and that is like a sign of the end, like it's about to go down. I'm so happy. So I had this avocado in my fridge. I was like, oh, I hope this is going to be good, And I took it out, cut into it. It was like, oh, it wasn't even green anymore. It was, I don't even know what color. It was almost like rust. It looked perfectly fine. Like when you felt it, it was hard enough, not too hard, just the right way you would want your avocado to be, but it was just not good. And boy, I was like, oh no, oh no, but we are still going to enjoy this all the same. And so I've covered my beans, and I've turned down the flame underneath that, and we're just going to make sure this plantain fries beautifully so we can have something to eat. So guess what? I turned around to wash a few dishes, and I almost burnt the plantains. Anything in hot oil, it's like you have to just watch it, like be, visually stand by it and watch it. The moment you turn around, disaster. And I almost caused a mess. So thank God I turned around just in time. So it's pretty much well cooked at this point, because it's very brown on this opposite side that it's now facing us. So on the other side, I'm not going to let it cook for far too long. It's just a little bit. And so like you saw, this is done in about 7 to 8 minutes. My first batch is all fried. So I'm bringing them out of the oil so I can go ahead and fry the next batch. Just look at that. Golden perfection. My little boy, he loves fried plantains. He's so different from his sister. Mihu. Just a mihu. Ghana ni ba akara. Or they see ondi koko. Like growing up, when we had one, ripe plantain, we always saved it for the kids. The ba pesia koko why the koko ne to suma akara. Not my daughter. Like I can almost say she's never eaten cocoa. She doesn't want it. She doesn't want to touch it. She doesn't want to eat it. But hey, my son is different. Like at least I know I have one normal child who loves cocoa. So typically what happens in every home, we'll save the cocoa for him because he will eat that. And this not too crowded, because the first batch obviously had more plantains in the oil. And this time around, I'm not joking. I'm not, actually, there's nothing to wash anymore. So I'm just standing by this. I'm like, I'm watching you. You better not burn. And this is done, like perfectly golden at this point. It's about time for me to bring them out of the oil. And before I forget, please help me thank Nanaba. These plantains, she got them for me. Like, so somewhere last week, she called me and she was like, Onyawa, I'm at Lily's, Do you need anything? So, of course, I needed things. I would have gone on my own, but she helped me out in such a way that I didn't have to run around to the store with my kids. And this was before all this craze. I had to just drive to her house and pick them up. So, thank you, Nanaba, for being your sister's keeper. And in these times, that is how we should live. So, God bless you. So, lunch is done. And finally, I can eat something. My stomach, that as the brother will say, is groveling. My groveling will hopefully stop. I can eat something now. Yes, this smells so good. So good. I know. Anybody can fry plantains, but please try this beans recipe. Try it, this combination. Salted beef, coconut oil, and beans. Okay, try it. I know you will love it. And I'll be hoping to hear from you about what you think about this. So my plate is made. I have to sit down and enjoy this goodness. Thank you so much for doing this with me. I hope it has inspired you. I hope you have some beans somewhere in your house, and hopefully you can find some plantains. But even without plantains, this works so beautifully with rice. So thank you so much for keeping me company whilst I cook lunch. I hope this has been an inspiration to you. And until I come your way next time with something delicious, be loving, be kind, be happy, and safe. Please stay at home. Eat at home.